Hey there! Montegrappa NeroUno on loan to me from Appelboom Pennen in the Netherlands. Interesting pen, 18 karat gold nib, octagonal shape, has some interesting features going for it. So this is the black finish. There is also an all black, there is a gunmetal, so there's a couple of finishes you can choose from. This is the black resin version. Has an interesting looking nib, which I'll show you in a second. I think what we need to do is go over the parts of the pen, do a writing sample, and then I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the Montegrappa NeroUno. It comes in a box, has a cardboard outer box, and then you have the actual box, pops open, a little pen sleeve, which is actually sort of a pen Ziploc bag, does come branded, that's kind of cool. Then we have, beneath the surface, two cartridges. We have rather a thick little booklet there, filling instructions, etc. And that's kind of it. So, let's put that back where we found it. Or where we did not find it, and look at the pen. The pen. The NeroUno. Octagonal. Let's do this side by side with the Lamy Safari. And you see it may be a little bit more tapered, but it is a very similar size. Okay, so the NeroUno, right? Traditional octagonal shape. Montegrappa has been doing that for a while. Has an 18 karat gold nib, cartridge converter filled. It's 345 euros, and it has extra fine through broad nibs, and this is in medium nib. Let's look at the parts of this pen. On top is this black finial, which is kind of cool. Also goes with that octagonal theme there. We have the clip with the little wheel, and you can see again those 8 facets. You can see them pretty well. Center band that looks a lot like a nut. I mean, like a nut and bolt in my mind. A little band there, and then the barrel ever so slightly tapers down. And there's another metal piece here, and it says 1912, the year Montegrappa was founded. So we have that. You can unscrew the pen, unscrew the cap, sorry. You have a section, interesting shape, that is a bit bulbous in the middle, it's barrel shaped. Tapers down, and then we have this very fascinating nib, which says Montegrappa and has a nice little feed, which looks a lot like ebonite to me, so that's interesting. Barrel unscrews, reveals a converter that is supplied with the pen. Okay, so let's see how this pen writes. Let me grab some paper. There we go. I'll zoom out a bit. The Montegrappa NeroUno. This kind of illustrates the point, so I'm going to leave it. This is a fine nib, and the ink is Waterman blue-black. I have reviewed a couple of Montegrappa pens, and almost invariably the nib is very dry. In this case, the nib is definitely dry, and this is a bit of an issue. I am using this nib right now with more pressure than I should apply to any fountain pen, but that is the way it writes. If I switch to using no pressure, then that is the writing performance. So under its own weight, the pen cannot write. This is nothing a Nibmeister would not be able to fix, but at 345 euros, draw your own conclusions. The pen was cleaned well before inking it up, and of course there's always the option that this is a lemon, that it's just a pen that doesn't work properly, but yeah, unfortunately I see a bit of a theme in Montegrappa pens that all have very dry nibs, at least the ones I have used. So I'm not blown away by this performance. Wetness, well, this is me pushing down on that, not a gusher. This is me not pushing down Nothing. Okay, line variation. There is some, and of course, as always, we are very, very careful doing this. It's not marketed as a flex nib, so we're very careful. There you have it. Reverse writing. It's possible, and it turns the nib from a nice medium here to a good fine, I would say, which is very nice. Now, having seen the pen attempt to write, let's see what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Okay, what do I like, what do I not like about the Montegrappa NeroUno in the black resin? Well, I think the pen has a couple of things going for it. The section, very comfortable. It also posts nicely, which I enjoy. It's not too heavy, it's quite nice. It has a nice nib design, because the nib, I think it looks cool. In my mind it's a little skinny, but I do like the look. It's just a little different, right? Which is not bad at all. But you know full well what I'm going to say, right? You saw how this pen wrote, and I did my best. It wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth. I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue. But hallelujah. Sometimes I channel Leonard Cohen. I'm sorry, it just happens. It's a pen. If a pen doesn't write, it's a paperweight, right? And I don't recall adding a paperweight to my shopping basket. Montegrappa. Several pens used, several times, very dry. This one was the worst so far. I mean, this is to a point where it barely writes. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. There's no other way to put it. If I spend 345 euros on a pen, then I would kind of wish it to write. Here we have a Faber-Castell grip, which was 1995, and it wrote out of the box without any issues. It's a problem. Now, this may be this particular pen. Maybe there was something wrong with the pen. Maybe it's just a simple issue with this very specific pen. But then it shouldn't have left the factory, right? If there are quality control issues that are so severe that the pen barely writes, then it shouldn't have left the factory. And this is becoming an issue. And we know that with Italian pens, that's always a risk that you run. I'm putting this as bluntly as I can. You have it with Visconti, you see it with other Italian brands, and this is no exception. Looks cool, in this case performed poorly, and that's all I can really say. So that's it. Now what I would really like to hear is, if you have a NeroUno, this one or another finish, let me know how yours writes. I think it will be interesting, and I also want to provide as balanced a view as I can, right? But of course, if I only receive one pen and it doesn't write, then my conclusion has to be this pen doesn't write. If you have a NeroUno and it writes perfectly, let me know. If you have a NeroUno that does not write perfectly, let me know. Put it in the comment section, and I think everyone will be very helpful, especially if they are trying to decide whether or not to get this pen. Okay? That's it. A kind thank you to Joost for lending me this pen. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.